Hello and welcome everybody out there in Union Arena land. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. So, today we are jumping back into the saddle of the One Punch Man testing against the meta. It's the first time in the past couple of weeks that me and Giant Dad were both available on the same day. So, we decided this is a good time to jump back into Garou, and whoo-wee, was that a poor decision on my behalf. But before we get into all of that, if you have been following the series so far, thank you very much. And if you are new to the series, well, welcome into it. We are putting different decks from all of the IPs that are coming out against the previous IP. So we can know most certainly how well positioned a deck is into the NA meta specifically. We are play testing, doing 3 matches of various different games into the IPs, where we have an expert player with the most popular deck of the IP and the second like crowd favorite deck, right? And today we have Giant Dad. Say hi, Giant Dad, and who you are.
Hello. I will say if I'm not an expert, I just play a lot.
I've seen your
I don't
binder
claim to be an
of
expert.
winners. You know how to play
Hey,
Gawain.
I know how to play enough. I haven't been to a regional or anything like that. I do want to. I can't wait to see the game grow. But yeah, just a quick bit. Um, this is my first actual physical TCG. I played Runeterra and Hearthstone before, but my experience otherwise is pretty low. I started about mid-December during the JGK rare battles, bought a starter deck and just jumped right in. And I think I realistically now go to about 3 to 4 weeklies every week. It feels like, but
Nice.
it's been a good time.
Yeah, I mean that's what we love to hear. The more the game grows, the more popular it gets, the more IPs we get in NA, the more diverse meta we get, and it's all good stuff at the end of the day.
For
So
sure.
we started off today playing Gawain Purple CG versus Garou. Now, at the start of this, you were of the belief that the matchup was probably pretty close, either 50-50 or 55-45 in favor of Gawain. I didn't want to say anything from the get go, but I was not as hopeful as you were on that at all, just by my experience of playing against Gawain. Would you like to go over why you thought that at the beginning? Not what you think now, but what you were originally thinking.
Sure. So Garou was actually pretty popular during our rare battles for One Punch Man, so I got to see the deck. Played quite a bit.
Mhm.
I do fear the red color trigger because that hits a lot of my early game aggression. And as we saw, that actually hit me quite a bit. Uh, with your deck too, I know as soon as you start getting to that number of 45, a lot of the classic code Geass combos, you start needing to devote a lot more to them, you know. So I know at one point in our game, I was like, hey, is Garou at 45 or 4? And you're at 45. And pretty much my entire plan fell apart because you don't get the easy, minus 1K, do a Gurren pop, or, those easy combos, they start requiring a lot more commitment to them. So I was kind of nervous going into it. Purple Coat Geass, you are doing the early game aggression, but I know also, you have 2K Garros, you have 3K Garros, you do start putting up a wall at a point where that early game chump attack starts losing effectiveness.
Oh, absolutely. And that actually reminds me. Let's move up your audio quite a bit here. There we go. Oh, I'm no longer looking at the proper screen. There's the proper screen. All right, I moved your audio up a little bit more for that. Sorry.
Okay.
But yes, the color trigger is something that if you hit it is fantastic in the matchup because you are an earlier pushing aggression deck. We went over this in the last episode, but in each matchup, there is one aggressor and one control. Somebody who is trying to control a specific outcome of the game in order to gain leverage and win, and someone else who is trying to aggro out so that the control can't do what it wants to do. In this matchup, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I believe that Gawain is the aggro, right?
Oh, 100%.
Now, not,
100%.
that is one of the fantastic things about Gawain, though. Purple CG, I don't think anybody has ever argued in NA, is top 3 decks. You can make arguments if it's the best or if it's the second or if it's the third, and people are right on all of these. I think the top 3 are close enough. Well, the top 2 are close enough, and everybody has their hot take for what the third one is. I still say Green
Right, right.
Saitama, but a lot of people want to argue with me on that. Deck is just absurd. But I think that The flexibility of purple CG is what makes it so incredible in the meta. Can you give us a couple of different matchups where your role might change from I am the aggro to I am the control and vice versa? And just very short reasons as to why.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, against certain decks, it can feel that way. Renji Rush, for example, is one where it gets really interesting because they put out the 2K Renjis right away. Definitely playing a little bit differently where you kind of flip flop back and forth. Um, I feel overall, Code Geass just has to be very flexible. But definitely Renji Rush is one that sticks out to me right away. I will say our locals currently the flavor is One Punch Man, so absolutely with yellow Geno Saitama and of course your green deck Saitama, it is all aggro, like full gas. But
Yeah.
actually, speaking of that, sisters, very control. I want that Blizzard on the field. I'm going to pop it right away.
Yes. Yeah.
The aggro
Let
only
them get their
lasts for so
chip
long.
damage in and then go, I'm removing
Hmm.
that shit. That's not happening again.
Yeah, they need to
Never
go.
again. I think, yeah, that is probably one of the primary strengths of this deck. And in my opinion, one of the highest skill ceilings of this deck as well is knowing your matchups. Whereas for Garou, I think the skill floor for the deck is actually fairly medium. I still don't think that I'm playing the most optimal version of the deck, but again, I'm going to stick through it for the entire gauntlet. And then in the future, if I want to make changes, I'll post a link of my list and try to get those changes going. But even though I think the baseline of skill for the two decks is higher for Garou, I think the skill ceiling and role association puts CG purple slightly in favor in the deck. Um, but I will say this set of games proved the number one issue that the Garou deck has, and that is life triggers. We haven't gone over that up until now because it hasn't been as relevant because we haven't really gone up against any decks that are aggressive enough that I can catch up, but also that I can stabilize against. Um, you have 46 triggers, is that correct?
Correct. The only four non triggers are the C2 zero drop.
Yes, the zero drop tap sack to get double energy, but it's also a raid target. So you're playing that
100%. Yep.
card no matter what. That card's insane for
Oh
the
yeah.
deck. I'm accidentally at 4. Hee hee, raid. Um, and my deck is sitting at 38. That is way too low, I think. I think in the future, if there is going to be decks that we are play testing that go below 40, um, I'm just going to have to accept the fact that this deck is probably not as playable. I know in Japan there are some decks that are higher tier that have this lower count on triggers. The difference is those decks have a lot more to play to the board and begin winning. What is the one card in the matchup you think that can help me catch up in the future if I'm playing Garou against Gawain?
Uh, See, that's a tough one. I know we talked about it earlier. I love Boros, the card draw.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Boros package as a whole. Take a life, draw two cards for the card advantage, as well as the raid. I guess that's two cards, sorry. But the Garo deck runs pretty tight. I mean, looking even at your build, I think the only real disagreement we had was on Monster Association because I just feel like it's slow. But
Fair.
you need the energy so bad in that deck.
Mm-hmm.
And the mill, of course.
Yeah. And having one more trigger that can get me double energy is huge a lot of the times.
For
Since
sure, for
this
sure.
now, I will say in this matchup in particular, um, you only have 4 ways to kill my big Gara once it's online, but it just seems like you have enough low to the ground things that I was not capable of stabilizing off what you were doing. Again, life triggers, RNG, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about that? The only thing I really care about are the decisions that I can make to improve the gameplay itself. Do you think there's any card that you are most excited for in this matchup where it's like if I don't draw this I probably am not losing, or if I don't draw this I'm probably losing, and if I do draw this I'm probably not losing?
I mean, it's definitely the special trigger,
Yeah.
the power of absolute obedience. As we kind of talked about too, at least in my experience, others may differ. 5Ks, I always approach a game a little bit differently because, again, with Code Geass being a combo deck, you have to devote a lot of resources. So your 3K Gurren Pop on your 5K, I need to either do a double Gawain raid, a Gawain or a Lelouch -1K. You're committing 3 cards essentially, right?
Mhm.
Um, Force block, very really gonna. I mean, you start pushing your guys up. You never really have only one Garou on the board, except for maybe early on, but it's a lot of card commitment, and so pretty much each game I was looking for it. I held on to it and I waited pretty much. And I think I used it pretty much each time on him specifically too. Cause like you got to get rid of him ASAP, especially when he's online. Cause
We
I've done a couple of games where, they have 2 or 3 of them on the board. And that is an absolute nightmare when he's online.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the other side of that is because I know how important every deck's decision to kill Garou is, you have to kill Garou. If you leave him on the board, he takes over the game. There's very few things in the game that can profitably block him. The fact that at 15, he restands with impact if he is not blocked and he just drew a card is so incredibly devastating against decks that I need to be aware of the amount of kill potential you have. Now, specials is the number one way that you kill the Garus. However, I am very, very, very much afraid of you combo killing my Garus. You do have a lot of neg 1000 and cards like that that you can put together in order to raid, kill something 3K. GG's, I'm winning now. But because of that, that puts me in the frame of mind where I really want Tario, the 0 drop. Sadly, he's yet another card that you just have to play in the deck, I think. I see quite a few lists where people are like, no, I'm not playing him. And that just sounds mind blowing to me, considering how much removal we have in the meta right now. What's your opinions on the Tario card? Is that a concern for you in the matchup, or is that a card that you're just like, yeah, I just need to kill it again?
It's interesting that you say that because speaking of the Tario discussion, I think at my locals, half the people ran him and half the people didn't. Um, is a slower card in the sense of you are doing the swap, right? So you essentially don't get the sideline benefit, but I mean when you're using him at that point, it's kind of the end of the game. Um, I think I I really do think you need him because again, you lose your Garos unless you're raiding Garo and then immediately doing your special to save him from not getting sacked from life, but you don't have many other good ways to get him back outside of Monster Association, which you do run. I mean, we talked about before, running that card or not, you do have Monster Association to get him back, but then now you lose your double energy, and you still need to play a Boros or Chicken Man or something to get that card back. So I see why you do it. It's a tough one because I forgot he's a non-trigger. Is that right?
He is not a trigger. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a downside of putting. I think you run 4. Did you run 4 or 3?
The full four. Yep.
4. So yeah. So you're stacking 4 non-triggers against yourself, which is never fun. But it's tough. It's tough.
To be fair, the only other red card that has a trigger that I could be playing in the deck is the Speedo Sonic.
Right. Yep. That's true. Yeah. The
That's not doing
it
anything in the deck. It doesn't help.
100%. The decks are so tight. That's
Yeah.
the downside. And it's crazy.
So
I mean, for people who are doing deck building and new to the game too. I mean, 8. What is that? 8 triggers. If my math doesn't suck, 8 less triggers than me. But holy shit, you feel it though. Like
yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah.
It is absolutely crazy how much 8 triggers you see it in
Mhm.
life a lot.
Now, I don't complain about life triggers happening in general. It's just one of those things where you have to be aware of you have a higher percentage chance of having no triggers than your opponent
Yep.
does. That is one of the things, in my opinion, that makes Sukuna so devastating, especially when they're playing the blue Kuno version where they have Nanami as well. Is I think that deck's up to like 48 triggers, 46, something like that. And it's just so hard for you to hit them and not have them get something profitable for them. And this is the same argument for the Green Saitama deck, where if you want to build the deck, you can have 50 triggers and it's not bad. But most people make the sacrifice of going down to 47 or so because the 0 drop that's a double energy is really good in that deck. But
For
it is
sure.
just something you need to be aware of when you're building decks is that some decks have more profit off of life than yours do. And that is a win or a loss that you just have to take. Personally, if I'm looking at a deck, if it does not have a minimum of 40 triggers and I want to play the deck at an event, I'm going to ignore that wanting. I'm just going to say that deck doesn't exist. not for competitive. I'm going to keep moving on. That is not to say that that situation is not going to change in the future, though. As I said, there are Japan decks that have less than 40 triggers, and they play to the board so incredibly powerfully well that it's really hard to try to argue against them running those cards because, well, they just take over the game so easily. Um, but I think that is enough conversation about just triggers and stuff like that. I'm getting triggered by the conversation. Um, in your opinion, how do you think the matchup is percentage wise after playing it?
Um, so to your comment earlier when I thought it was gonna be really close, definitely looking at it now, I see the gaps. I still feel like I kind of high rolled a lot. I saw the cards I needed to see. Code Geass has this nasty habit, at least when I play it. It feels like there's ear games you don't get your double energy and you just don't do your Gurren raids, or you don't see your Gurrens even though you have 11 and you have 7 in the deck. Um, are you still going? By the way, I think the stream froze.
Oh, god damn it. There it is.
Oh no, you're good. Nope, you're good now. Or your video did.
I
Sorry.
tabbed into something
Um,
else.
but I definitely will put it higher. I mean,
Mhm.
your comment earlier was spot on. JJK blue, Code Geass purple. Everyone puts them in the top two, and then puts their favorite one in the third spot. But they are strong decks for a reason. They have a lot of options, and those triggers are always helping them draw cards, get fuel. So,
Mhm.
um, I want to say probably now looking at maybe a 70-30. I still feel like, and without seeing everything line up, I have seen like the double Garou plays or even the triple Garou raids, and man, it is so mean how
It's so
how
hard.
quickly the turns tide where you were, you do that and you're doing potentially 6 attacks so they don't block, or you do 3 or 4. It's nuts, assuming they
And
don't get the special trigger in life, of course.
yeah. And that's why we give them the 30, that
Yep.
percent chance of having 3 of your raid targets in your hand.
Oh
Or
yeah.
3 of your raiders. I think I would agree with you on that. 70-30 is where I was originally when I was thinking about this. I
Okay.
think skill expression matters much more in this matchup. Garu's skill ceiling is not as hard as Gawain's skill ceiling is. At the end of the day, you still have to plan out your turns 2, 3 turns ahead. You're playing chess in this deck. And the fact that you have that ability in order to take over, have huge turns where you go, I kill both of your big scaries and I'm going to hit you now. Like stuff like that is fantastic. And the triggers are just so massively in favor of you as well. It's hard to really hold up a candle to it. So 70-30, I think I'm pretty cozy at. If I was playing against a less skilled Gawain player, I think I would move it down to 60-40 though. Because they could mismanage their resources in a way that doesn't win.
For sure, I can totally see that.
But I think that's going to be all for this part. Thank you all very much. And yeah, we will be actually, let's just continue it from here.
All
I
right.
don't have to swap out the video because, like an idiot, I forgot to hit the record button for the second set of matches. If you are interested in watching those second sets of matches, where we were playing Green CG Lancelot versus Garou, you can do so. We have it in the VOD channel. You can find it down below, and it'll probably be a timestamp in there. I think that it's automatically done now. Either way, it'll be down there. But Green CG versus Garou. Initial impressions, I felt it was near unwinnable for Garou. You have double damagers, and you
Yeah,
get to
it gets
play them
rough.
quickly. And you have such good ramp, and you have steppers to stave off my early aggression for chip damage. And when you start hitting me, you have double damagers that kill my shit on play. I felt like from the get go, 80-20. Though after playing the matches, I will say that my numbers have changed, and we'll go over that at the end. Where were you at the beginning of all this?
So I was thinking 70-30.
Okay.
With Lancelot's with your deck. So I have early game time. A Lancelot will be a 5k on play, 5k blocker.
Mm-hmm.
Air Cavalry will be a 5k at all times. So I can very quickly block your Garros until you're online. So the idea in my head was just keep beating you down, keep whittling you down until at that point, if you do take out my guys or I block, at that point, one air cover at the end, an impact, or just more attackers would seal the game. So that was kind of my strategy of just getting them out as soon as I could.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just get as many of them as possible. You have that really good one energy searcher as well. That card is so good. Restand if you get a mech. Oh, That's
Yeah,
so good.
it's disgusting.
That's such a
That and
good
then
card.
of course, as we saw quite a few times, Euphemia. It's disgusting. It's
Euphemia was backbreaking. I think in the matchup, um, on Garu's side, there are 3 cards that I'm terrified of seeing against you, and that is really bad. Like, there's not many decks that I go, I don't want you to have these 3 cards that you play 4 of or some number of. In this matchup, I don't want to see you have a Euphemia, because the only way that I can catch up against your 5k bodies before I'm at 15 is by kill spelling your shit. I don't want to see.
you also have the you have the Garou. You have the double energy Garou to pay an AP.
He
It's
can't
not
kill the
great AP usage.
5k. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I meant on the Euphemia. Sorry, my bad, my bad.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, he can kill her, but it's still I'm wasting an AP to kill
Hundred
her.
percent. Yep.
I'm
Yeah, it
falling behind.
sucks.
Like it's good in matchups where people don't have action economy advantage, and your searcher that gives you that action advantage is just so good that that's the other card I'm most scared of you seeing. The third one is your big 8-drop Lancelot.
Yep. Yep.
Any
Nope.
of
Both
those 3
Lancelots.
cards feel backbreaking to play against with Garou, because you don't give a flying fuck about nullify impact at the end of the day. You're swinging in with 8k, 5k, or 8-drop 5ks with double damage. Sure, it has impact on it. Go ahead and block. You don't care. You're winning on the board by me chumping in those situations. Any of those 3 cards come down early enough, and the matchup is just immediately in the trash for me. Are there any cards that
All down
you
to
don't want me to see?
it. Not particularly. So kind of as we talked about before. Well, I guess I say color trigger.
Yeah,
You got lots of value on color trigger as well. My early game push. I think you got one. You blew up one Euphemia as well. I mean, you
yeah,
don't get many opportunities to use a color, but hey, anytime Euphemia is up front,
mhm.
that's a free kill.
Yeah. We
Um,
killed her. We killed a battalion off
yep,
the
yep.
one game. Yeah. Red
But for
color
sure,
trigger finally being good.
yeah, otherwise there's nothing I'm really too afraid of in that deck. As we said, raid Garou. I'm not really terrified of them until you're at 15 in the deck.
Hmm.
And then same with your removal one. You can't really you can kill a Lancelot, but I'll take that. I'll get my pilot back. So yeah,
Yeah.
not really. I wasn't really too sweating too much. And then even in our third game, it was still down to what I think it was one life, 1 to 1 or I can't remember how many. It's two to
I
one or
was
one
at
to one.
1 or 2. I was dead the next turn if I couldn't kill you there.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I was at 1. Yeah, because you just had the big blowout turn with your impact double damager. Um,
Yes. Yep. You're right. You're right.
I
Yep.
went down to 1, and I was lucky enough not to hit a final off of your life.
Yep.
uh, I will say though, when the deck Garou has the ability to self mill into 15 very quickly, the only card I really end up becoming afraid of is your 8-drop, which is great. Like, your special is going to be a special regardless, right? But the 8 cost is the card that's actually going to be able to win out against me. Eventually, my Tarios will come down, pick up my Garus. Get more raid Garus. Chicken Man finds me Garus. Like, there's so many different things that get to him that I think if I'm able to get out early enough with the sideline, I may be able to win, but that's really a huge may, you know? Um,
Sure, and being honest, who's not afraid of air cavalry? That card is so just
yeah.
terrifying. I
Yeah.
mean, if we go back to a couple months
Well,
ago, I mean, Karapika, okay, fine, he's a 5K, but after he uses his own attack to snipe with an
mhm.
impact, fine, and then after that he's a 5K body with impact, but I mean, he's just a 5K impact. Lancelot, he plays, he removes, and he is a damage 2 impact 1 threat every single turn,
Yeah,
and he's gonna beat you down.
that is so terrifying. I can say one card that's not afraid of him though. Saitama. Saitama don't give a
You're
fuck.
told you're totally right. There is no circumstance I'm winning off that fight.
Yeah, yeah. I have a Saitama in play. Oh no, I guess I play him next turn. Just but that is again why the green Saitama deck is like so incredibly powerful though. Looking at Garou, however, I will say the more and more we play with this deck, the more and more I think a volume 2 would do this deck numbers. Every time I pick it up, I learn something new that the deck can do. I learn different lines that I can take, but it constantly feels like just something small is missing. Um, and we talked about this before we started doing this whole commentary section of it, what card I would like to see in the future that would amp Garou up to become much more powerful. Now, to me, I love the idea of a 1 or a 2 cost that has a trigger. Please give me more triggers. But on play looks at the top 2 and I can mill any number of those. I think a card like that in Garou would go so well with the deck and allow it to curve more naturally into the 10 inside line, which is where the deck becomes very aggressive, very scary, very quickly. 15 is where it's terrifying, but 10, the deck begins feeling like it can get there. Adding in that one card, I think, would really make a big difference. Do you think that there's, after playing against it, a type of card that would better suit it in the future if it came out? Say a binder set or an expansion?
No, I agree with you right away there. A card that let you search and discard on your own terms. Seeing some of the future JP sets where they start introducing a lot more, because I believe in at least, well, up until SAO, we didn't have any search to um, top deck, bottom deck. Obviously, for Garo flavor, you could do, leave it there or sideline it. But I remember there's quite a few times where you played your color trigger, and you threw away some pretty unfortunate cards. Like I know the special trigger got tossed, Garo raid got tossed. It's rough because you just say I'm going to throw two, and that is what it is, and it's rough.
Uh, so I've trained myself after playing Magic for so long to never look at what I am sidelining more than like a second. Because I used to play
I like it.
dredge style decks where it goes, all right, I'm going to mill 5 to pick this one card up from my this graveyard, discard, sideline, whatever you want to call it. And so many times people are like, no, I'm losing the best cards. I've trained myself so well to just go like that doesn't exist. I wasn't getting those cards anyway. I'm still playing RNG. And then later on in the game I go, well, how many of these can I play around now? Oh, look at that. I don't have any. Um, but I have trained myself to be like that, and I think if you're going to play a deck like Garou, you need to train yourself to be like that.
I did notice that when you threw away some nice cards, you're just like, it is what it is. Let's keep moving. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
damn, okay. And
Oh, yeah,
honestly,
yeah, yeah.
and honestly, I think it's a great mental game too, because
Mhm.
I mean that is the difference if someone goes, well, shit, he didn't react. They just dumped a Garo. Does he have three in hand, or your kill trigger? You're like, all
Yeah,
right, let's keep going. Do you
yeah.
have two in hand? I have no clue based on that reaction. Where in a local game, someone goes, they curse, they only kind of get
God
tilted, and
dang,
like,
that's
okay,
my
well,
specials.
yep.
No.
And
Like,
then it's
oh,
like,
so
okay,
you
well,
don't
I know
have
he
any.
probably doesn't have one.
Like,
Yeah. So I honestly think that's a great mind game, dude. I
yeah.
think it's great.
I don't do it for the mind game aspect, but that is a portion of being competitive
Side
if you want
benefit.
to get
It's a side
yeah,
benefit.
absolutely. But I think if you're going to play a deck like this, people, seriously, ignore what you mill with Garou other than taking note, I can pick this up later. That's it. Every
True.
other card in there is a number. Your specials are numbers, your finals are numbers. That is card number 5 and card number 6. That is all it is to you. Nothing else about it matters at all. And that's my same mentality when it comes to searchers as well. A lot of people seem to not want to play the one drop searchers because, like, I'm going to bottom all my specials. I play them because I say I'm going to be able to curve out. We can see, I think it was this third game, or we can't see. No, we could see it. In CG, it happened. In the third game, I was capable of going Chicken Man, search top 3, get a 2-drop Garou. I had nothing that was going to allow me to start curving to 3, and that was when I was able to start dropping everything else the next turn because I was able to search that one thing. I'm pretty sure I bottomed a final and a special. It's irrelevant information. What it allowed me to do is so much better. And those cards, sure, you would have drawn them eventually, but you can still draw them eventually. Train yourself to not pay attention, and you will be so much better with Garou. Don't pay attention to the downsides, only pay attention to the upsides. Now, after that little bit of spiel and helpful information for people, percentages. Where do we end on green CG versus Garou?
I think playing it out, I would be curious with more, but honestly, I think it could be a 70-30, even an 80-20. It's rough. Green doesn't need to work that hard to get out a beat stick that does damage to every turn. You get your Lancelot to do 2, and your air cavalries to do 2 plus impact. I mean, it's not hard.
It's not. You just go
It's
oonga
rough.
boonga. Here's
You
big
are,
things.
yeah, it's just a beat stick. Whereas, for you need to think how you mill, how you play, your stalls. I think it's a rough matchup.
It is. I think I agree 70-30 based off of skill expression, 80-20 like on average. If you sit down across for them, cross your heart and pray that your opponent bricks. And that's our hot take. Thank you very much for watching and looking forward to seeing you all in the next episode. Goodbye.